There's a rumor out there about Vendoroo that we're really just a bunch of remote teammates running maintenance ops for you in the background and not real AI. And while I can tell you that that's absolutely not true, it's not 100% untrue. But because of that, we have been able to really figure out how to implement AI, agentic AI specifically for property management businesses. I'm going to explain to you why that is, and I'm going to explain to you essentially why you need human support in order to navigate this change, and nobody else out there is even thinking about it this way. So you're going to want to hear this. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. So like many of my podcast episodes, they come from a conversation that I was having on the phone with the infamous Mark Brower. And he was telling me he was just gotten back from this event. And he was saying, hey man, I heard something about Vendoroo. Can you tell me if this is true? I heard that you guys really started off as a bunch of remote teammates managing maintenance, and that is not real AI. And I said, Mark, I'm glad you brought this up to me, because we did start that way, but the reality is very, very different from the perception that people are hearing. So yeah, when we first started, we were a outsource maintenance coordination company with human teammates leading the decision-making, leading the action-taking, and training and AI. But the reason why that happened is because the only way that we were going to figure out this inflection point for when the AI takes over is by first owning the outcome. That is what we've been saying from day one that AI needs to do to get you there. And we did not see a path to this through incremental SaaS improvements, right? Like not 2 years ago when we started doing this, we had to first own the outcome and reverse engineer it for us so that we could fit it in for you. And you know, what we have found in doing this is that most property managers, go into this. The majority of the world thinks like AI is a tool that they install, kind of like a software, right? But AI is not that, right? Like the agentic AI is not that. It's an operational transformation that needs to be coached. When people approach this as like a tool mentality of like, how can I just kind of like implement this thing here, implement this thing there, two things happen. One is if you're not prepared for it, you scale chaos, right? Like I think that's out there, right? Like you don't implement AI until your like operation is ready for it because you're going to scale chaos. We're here to tell you that that's true. We've seen it happen, right? And we've also seen how to like hedge for that and make sure that that doesn't happen. And then beyond that, if you do succeed, if you don't scale chaos, it starts going so well that all of a sudden this thing's doing for you, then you're in store for like the big thing, which is this like operational inflection point where you need to redesign your workforce a little bit around it. So in doing this to start with, we were forced to go through this ourselves, right? Like we were early on, I would say we had a decent amount of churn because we were just figuring it out. You could say that was our scale chaos phase. And then as things matured, we went through our operational inflection point. So let me kind of tell you how that went, right? So we started with this full ownership outcome, right? Like what I tell people about Vendoroo is that it took a very innovative approach to building a company, right? Like I really credit Reza with this. I had never heard this before. He started off with message market fit to offer market fit to product market fit. What does that mean? That means that instead of starting off by building a product, we started off by talking to the market. We started off by going to conferences and offering somebody a dad joke in order to get in a conversation about how you're doing maintenance. And we figured out the performance marketing funnel in a way to like get messaging out there to see how many people we could get into a conversation. That was message market fit. Offer market fit became, once we were in those conversations, what did people really want? What were people ready to sign up for a waiting list to pay for? And what they really wanted is take the pain of maintenance off of my plate, right? And let me be able to control it, right? So like there's these outsourced services that just like force you into what they're doing, but they wanted to have control without the pain, right? So that led to product market fit. This idea of, oh, this is actually what you can do with agentic AI, right? Like you can take the pain out of like hiring people and growing in all these different things and giving your people superpowers with agentic AI while creating a scenario where you can automate the hardest thing in maintenance. So that's what we had to figure out, right? And the way it started was exactly what I was just talking about. We started off with David Norman, who, if you haven't heard of him, he's our chief property manager. He's somebody that had gone from 0 to 600 doors, basically like him being the guy, right? Like him being the one who's had everyone's number, and he reached 600 doors, couldn't scale beyond that. He burned out. Then he became a service provider post-recession to the big banks, right, with the REO banks, and he was managing the maintenance of like hundreds of thousands of doors because he was obsessed with duplicating himself. So he created this like program that we've talked about before of like him in the middle training a bunch of different like maintenance experts, where as soon as something would come up, they would come to him. He would be able to like train them real quick and keep doing that. So he basically replicated that through a human model with about 40 different expert maintenance coordinators that he trained that were running these things, with the added caveat that we were also using an AI to oversee everything and start training that as that was happening, right? So as that continued, the AI got good enough to start really making the decisions, but still not good enough to trust with the actions. So at a certain point, that group of expert maintenance coordinators still being the face of it, still taking the actions, but now the AI was making the decisions, right? This is AI assisted execution. And then the AI got good enough to not just make the decisions, but also execute, right? Like we right-sized what the processes, what the SOPs needed to be around this thing, what the guardrails needed to be in order for the AI to really go with it. And that was a big inflection point for our company, right? Because now we had this team of like 40, 50 people that one decision was to let them go, right? Because now the AI is able to do this and just build this tech platform. We took a different decision. We thought to ourselves, man, we really needed to like go through all these lumps and understand all this stuff to really right size it for us. And we believe that our clients are going to need that as well. So this group of folks became AI advisors, and they went from being expert maintenance coordinators to AI advisors. And that led to us completely redesigning the entire experience to be completely unlike anything before, right? Like if this context is changing and agentic AI is so different, why did we look so much just like a regular software company with like sales, customer success, account management, right? We were like, man, this is a new context. Let's put these folks right in the middle of this new context. And this AI advisory board became the people that have like completely rethought up our onboarding, our account management, and our ongoing support to look like this, right? First of all, that idea of scaling chaos is very, very real. We have some people that come in, their processes look phenomenal. They can turn the AI on and go really well, but that's not the majority of most people. And we also found that if we were onboarding folks and they had all this work to do, then they were going to get stalled, right? Like nobody comes to a technology provider for them to give them homework to do more stuff, right? You're coming to a technology provider to take away the pain. So what we did is we created an AI that goes through your property management system, whatever history you have there, and it's able to, first of all, tell you how your processes and procedures and performance compare to the folks that have the highest automation scores that look like you inside of our clientele base. What you need to do, like what the gaps are, right? Like, so if you like, this is how you compare from a scoring. What are the gaps like in different categories, right? Like in vendor network, in SOPs, in policies, right? And like the different categories, like where the gaps are and what are the things you need to do to close the gap. Right. So that's the first kind of assessment that happens through AI, through the behavioral insights we have in our system, analyzing your behavioral insights, and it's pretty quick. And then this AI advisory board says, okay, now based on this is everything we're going to do for you. Notice that it's not, this is what you need to do. This is not your homework, but they go in, they dive in and adopt those processes and right size them for your company, for the AI. And they do that before you launch, right? So that is what the onboarding feels like. On top of that, you're learning about the AI, you're doing these different things, but like the homework, the heavy lifting is now done by our team because we have these people. Then you go into this 90-day period, right? So first 30 days, we call that the learning phase. This is like if you were bringing on a new employee, you're supervising everything that they're doing. right? Like you're like micromanaging them essentially. So this is you looking at everything the AI is doing with the help of one of your AI advisors, so that you can learn and see how the AI thinks and like see the things that it's doing that you wouldn't have expected that may delight you, and also see the things that you're doing that you wouldn't have expected that you need to correct, right? So like, and being able to correct that on the spot, allow the AI to learn you to learn the AI. The next 30 days, if you think about it like an employee, you now kind of trust this employee a bit, right? You start to delegate. So the AI now really like takes over. You're not overseeing everything. You've delegated, you're spot checking. There's moments where you like jump in because the AI raises their hand and you need to correct something, guided by your AI advisor. That's the delegation phase. And then within 60 days, you have this like pretty good understanding of it. You know what you've delegated to it. And now you start really optimizing it. Right? And this is when AI is really taking over. So now it's enabling you to get really, really strategic. And what that means is like, now you start looking at, okay, what are the ways that I can use my team now in ways that I couldn't before? What are the ways that I can continue to like scale this AI operation in other parts of my business that I just didn't have like the purview of it before? And all of this is being guided by your AI coaches, by your AI advisors. Because essentially, like if you do this really, really well, you're going to end up redesigning some of the roles inside of your business. And these folks have been through it. They know how it feels. They've done it and they've gone through it. So they have like really good advice on how to like get there once you get to that point. And all of this is triggered from going from this like reactive chaos of maintenance to the insight generating system that only AI can provide. This is what I mean by that. 1 in every 50 work orders surfaces a behavioral insight, right? These behavioral insights are coming from the AI mapping 450 data points per maintenance workflow that you have and being able to run all the different permutations of that. And what that usually leads for our clients is that they do 85 workflow improvements in the first 90 days. Imagine just like in 90 days, you've done 85 improvements to like your workflows and the way that you do business, all seamlessly while training this like new all-star employee, right? Like that is what this thing is doing. And you wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have the confidence of working with an AI advisor on top of that. You'd be flying blind with this stuff, not understanding what's an insight versus what's a problem, like not understanding kind of like, what to improve based on the insight, those kinds of things. We've been through it and we guide you through that, right? So we truly, truly believe that this layer of like 40 to 50 people that work with us, that are your AI advisors, as ironic as it sounds, right? Like as ironic as it sounds, it's not the AI that is our true differentiator. It's this like human layer that's the true differentiator. And what I mean by that is, first of all, right, like when you think about like the options in the market out there, there's many. Right? There's the big software providers that are incorporating AI into what they do. Those big software providers have proven to not, like they're trying to like slice little pieces off and give that to you. They're not like transforming your work. They're doing it within their software. And because it's within their software, they're going to maximize for like use across as many people as possible and not for customization. So your edge cases are not an option for you with the AI done by your providers, because they're trying to make it as safe as possible for their overall system, right? So not only are they, are they already, they've already been the type of people that sell you a software and then sell you a consulting package to learn how to use the software, not just have a team that like walks you through it. But on top of that, they're not going to allow you to optimize for edge cases, right? Like that piece of it is not going to be available. Then there is the do-it-yourself bots, and there's a new breed of like agentic builders that are mostly technology folks. That's like maybe like 3, 4, 5, a team of maybe 5, right? Like they're building these like truly agentic first companies that are building these agents that are going to be customizable for you, right? But like that's where it ends. They're going to give you the technology and you're going to have to figure this thing out on your own. Like you're going to have to figure out how to not scale chaos. You're going to figure out how to make it through those 90 days, like flying on your own, and then you're going to have to figure out that like organizational inflection point, because they haven't been through it, right? Like they don't have the lived experience to advise you on. We believe that these two things are the game. right? Like edge cases, if you're, like if you can't like make it truly, truly yours, then it's really just like another toll booth. It's another middleman in the way that's not really taking the work completely off your plate. And if it's going to take the work completely off your plate, at some point you're going to have to reach this organizational redesign and help your people understand how to move this thing through this. And if you're not working with someone that's done this, and there just really isn't a lot of people in the world that have done this, you're going to get stuck there. And what we see is the people that don't, like that get stuck there retreat, and they go back to the old way. They go back to what's comfortable, as opposed to trusting this process of how you move forward based on like what we've already seen and we've seen other people. So we just don't see yourself as a technology partner. We see ourselves as a transformation partner, right? Because nobody else has solved the human side of AI like we have, and there's a ton of value to be given there. So yeah, we started as remote maintenance coordinator because we had to own the outcome and reverse engineer it to know what your experience was going to be. And that's what it took to build real agentic AI that will transform your operation. It was inevitable that somebody had to do this. We've led the path. We've taken it in the teeth for the first 2 years doing this, but we now know the path and we know the way in a way that's going to take anybody else 2 years to catch up to this thing, and the commitment to build like a 50-person workforce to be able to support this. Or, maybe they're just going to stay small. Maybe it'll be like one dude with like 3 friends that can take on like 5-10 clients, and like that'll be a different kind of offering. But like this ability of being able to bring in like all the insights across hundreds of thousands of doors that we now can like bring in, and operational insights and right size your operation based on this stuff. Nobody else in the world has the technology plus the human piece to do this with. So sure, next time somebody tells you that we started as remote teammates, say yes. Vendoroo definitely started as remote teammates, and because they brought these remote teammates along from maintenance coordinators to AI implementation experts, this is why you can trust us to support you as you go through this massive change, so that you don't scale chaos and so that you don't get stuck at the operational inflection point. If you haven't put all that stuff together and you want to be truly guided through an experience to transform your operation with AI, then I suggest you hop on a call with us and see what we're doing right now. Let us run one of these operational analyses through your system. It's going to blow your freaking mind. Go to vendoroo.ai and get on the calendar. See you soon.